Blessed love, my family. Give thanks for your presence. At this moment, we are on a mission seeking for real partners. We are establishing a real partnership in this what we consider a real war. Let me be clear from the onset. We will be speaking of finance. This is not a word to everyone. This is primarily for those who appreciate the works that we do, those who love the mission that we are on. Not appreciate hate, which means to magnify the hate, but appreciate love. Magnify the love. As most of you would know, one of our videos on YouTube was taken down a few weeks ago. That left us with a strike against our channel and a handful of restrictions for us to go over. Many people has literally told us in the past that you should monetize your channel. Now, to be very clear, I have no intention, neither did I have any passion whatsoever to do that. But even if I did, that is something that was never possible and is not possible now because of the restrictions, number one. That cannot be done. And then again, even without the restrictions, it was already restricted in the region that I am in, where I live. So Radio Anu was also taken down a few days after. And within a few days, it also came back up. As you also know, unlike many other channels, we do not make it a habit or even a part of our business at all to ask for any donations or contributions. This also is for several reasons. Number one, as we have expressed in the past, we honestly don't think that we should ask for such from an audience that can see the works that we are doing. Number two, even in the past, after being encouraged by others to solicit donations and contributions, we established the PayPal system. Those of you who have attempted to contribute via that PayPal know for sure that it never worked. There was always an issue. Email and Facebook shut down several times, plus other things behind the scenes that I would not even mention here. No Patreon and being ostracized from the executive YouTube club, I am sincerely asking you, those of you who admire and appreciate the work that we do, to assist us in this venture of uplifting our people, physical, soul, and mind. I am not asking you to contribute, and I am not asking you for any donation. I am just asking you to patronize. You know, we have begun to create a series of ebooks from Anu, Ancient and Modern Revisited, to the ebook The True Biblical Land of Israel. Of course, our children books like The Great Kings and Queens of Africa. You know, we have our video lecture series. We also have our DVD documentaries from the Master of Ceremony 7 and the Night of the Black Tiger. You also know, as it relates to Radio Anu, there's a monthly subscription where you literally get the programs that are done nightly on the shock of the hour. Of course, on one level, you will be assisting myself as I am also assisting you. It is just a genuine and justified exchange of goods and services. Now, there's much more behind the scenes that I care not to say on this medium. Now, I have no criminal record, well known and accepted in my community. but it seems like there's something coming out of my mouth that is a bother to some. And I'm not cursing, and there's no guile coming from between my teeth. Just what I consider to be the truth. My brothers and sisters who love me and love the work, as I love you as well, I'm being very straight. We're on the battlefield. So I'm asking you to partner with me, to assist me on the battlefield. We're not asking for anything as contributions and donations. We are asking you to patronize what we have to offer. Give thanks. Obviously, there would be a reason why we ask. So you can email me at priestisaac27@gmail.com and I'll give you more information. I am looking forward to hear from you. Salamta. The next month, which is June the 21st, you see the sun right, the equinox, the sun rose right in the center of the constellation known as Pisces. Let me show you what I'm speaking of. Let us just say in the year 1590, the year after, okay, the 21st day of March, we see the sun basically at the same spot. Let's check the year 1520, still there. 1521, still there. 1522, still there. 1523, still there. 1524, still there. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, still there. You know. So in other words, in about 15 years, when we return on the 21st day of March, as we do every year, we notice that the sun is still in the same spot. No, the sun is not in the same spot. It appears as if it's in the same spot, but the sun is moving 1 degree every 72 years. So that means the sun, in its movement of its governing power, as far as the age goes, is moving 1 degree every 72 years. I want you to keep this in mind. Remember, the sun is moving from one constellation to the other constellation, 1 per month. This is what we observe. So let's watch this. Let me show you, for example, 21st day of February, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th. You see the sun moving? 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. 1st of April, 2nd of April, 3rd of April, 4th of April, 5th of April, 6th of April, 7th of April. You see, that's how the sun moves. So every day, you see the sun traversing through the heavens, moving through the constellations, just like this. You notice Mercury and the moon passing the sun as the days go by, because this is showing you a record. So I'm going backwards as such now. You know, the 9th, the 6th, the 3rd, back to the 21st day of March. Now that's on the daily level. But as it relates to the age now, let me show you. So as I said, listen good. We are basically, obviously, in the year 1518. Now we are. I definitely give thanks for your presence with us. Exactly 11 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock. Once again, on a wonderful evening. It is the 4th of July, isn't it? Within the whole cycle of life, 2018. Once again, this is the shock of the hour. Honorable Priest Isaac here with you. A wonderful evening right here in the nation of Antigua and Barbuda and the island of Anu, talking about Antigua itself specifically. And then, of course, as I said, as we're in the shock of the hour, I am sure that many ones have already even seen the statement that I brought out concerning the video that I posted up that has been taken down. And surprisingly, if it is a surprise to you, I'm not even really in the mood to talk about that. I just want to go to this. Now, yeah, we get back to that. I want you to follow me. Let us open our meditations now and think to a deeper level. I know that a few programs ago, we were touching upon the whole science of sound. Remember that? The science of music. I'm sure that the majority of people, at least that are listening to me live, would have tasted that presentation that we did dealing with the science of sound and the harmonics and the frequency, of course, and the circle and the square and the triangle and the rectangle, as they call it, and of course the octagon, the hexagon, and we went on and on, the tetrahedron, yeah, very important, and the whole science of life. As you know, the tetrahedron is directly related to free energy, the Osirian symbol, the medallion, the flower of life, and the 8 concentric circles. Well, the 7 concentric circles that make up that flower of life. I'm sure we can recall all of this. That's the same episode we were speaking of the whole concept of some Rastafari burning reggae. So that science now, as we relate to that and getting that mind frame. Now, every city, state, county, every intellectual institution is only a set of interactions. It's only a body of relations, human relations. Now, this is, as I said, poetry in motion we're dealing with here. So let us get it straight. So every city, state, county. So you see now we start to highlight places of residence and business and where the activity of the people are. Every intellectual institution. So we're looking at obviously schools and universities and colleges and even businesses which carry a high level of scholarship and teachings and training as well. So every city, state, county, every intellectual institution, it's only a set of interactions. It's only a body of relations, human relations. You understand? So let us gather this now, because many of us, we go to school and we study psychology and we study, what's the fella name? Sigmund Freud and some of the old fellas from Greece, and but this is philosophy being spoken here. So each one, listen good, each one, and maybe I should have informed you that if you're really serious about this program tonight, it would be good to have a pen and a paper, to jot down some important information that we're dropping out here. Every city, state, county, every intellectual institution, it's only a set of interactions. It's only a body of relations, human relations. So each one, listen, so each one is a subset, you see, of human family. So each one of everything I just mentioned there, subsets, sets and subsets. We're dealing with maths here, so each of the county, each of the city, each of the state, each of the intellectual institutions, each one is a subset, you see, of human family. This being enough example, you see, of scientific envy. Inventing, listen good, inventing everything and can't harness their emotions. Let's go back a bit and we're gonna stop right there. So each one is a subset, you see, of human family. This being enough example, you see, of scientific envy, inventing everything and can't harness their emotion. Now, it was years ago I saw this lecture by Phil Valentine, and in his discourse, he was putting forward that even your computer and your motor car and anything that they say is not a living object actually carries a soul. And the reason why he was stressing that, he says specifically it has to do with your interaction with this object, how you deal with it on a day-to-day level. So this is Phil Valentine now, not me directly, specifically. So there's certain fields around yourself and certain fields around everything that exists, whether we consider it a living object or a non-living object. I mean, when you look in the school books, brother, they consider a rock a non-living object. I said, what kind of craziness is this? What do you mean a rock is a non-living object? They have water as a non-living object. Nah, man, what are you talking about? This is the kind of kill that we've been getting for a long time. How far they carry us and they kill them, and you understand what's going on here. So we're dealing with this now. A soul, the brother was speaking of. I clearly remember the lecture, a soul. And this brings into the whole concept of what the poet is saying here. Inventing everything and can't harness their emotion. Inventing, so you're in a society where they're inventing everything. Whatever it is you see them inventing, even the computer, the microphone, the speaker, the automobile, whatever they're invented or modified from the ancient time. But let's just use the word invented for the moment. Invented everything and can't harness their emotion. Building bigger on and bigger on a falsified foundation. Their self-view, worldview, was the root of their intentions. We gotta follow this good, man. Their self-view, worldview was the root of their intentions. So each one is a subset, you see, of human family. This being enough example, you see, of scientific envy, invented everything and cannot harness their emotions, building bigger on and bigger on a falsified foundation. Their self-view, worldview, was the root of their intentions. And you may say, and so where exactly is the priest going with this? Some of you already see where I've gone with this if you know the narrative of exactly what I'm spitting out here. But obviously, these are words of inspiration, as I say, specifically coming from the mouth of the poet that wrote such. But let us continue. Snobbish, deleted. I mean, come on. Snobbish, deleted aspirations. Dismiss, listen to this, dismiss creation's hard evidences. Listen, snobbish, deleted aspirations. Dismiss creation hard evidences. And that reminds me sometime of when you watch some of these documentaries and they still have the nerve to talk about what you call the place there, Sumeria, being the cradle of civilization in Iraq and the founders of writing. You know, they still have the nerve to say this Chinese man invented paper. when we dismissing creation hard evidences to show you that the Sphinx asked Professor Shock, he was shocked when he tested the Sphinx, her maquette, and he said, this ain't no 4,000 or 5,000 years old. We gone into 15, 16, maybe 18,000 years old, talking about the age of her maquette, the mighty Sphinx, as it's referred to as dismissing creation's hard evidences. I hope you're keeping your notes, Snobbish, deleted aspirations. Dismiss creation's hard evidences. I'm marching them 360 to the Ethiopians. It's Ivine and committee conscience trying to avoid embarrassment. No, listen, this is a serious stuff, Listen to it good. Because some of you may not at this moment pick up exactly the poetry, but this is where I'm going to bring to you, and why I'm bringing it to you in this form. It's necessary for me, the teacher for the evening, to bring it to you in the way that the Spirit tells me to bring it to you. Somewhat as a surprise if you didn't know. Because there are many things that I think we take for granted, many things around us that we take for granted, and maybe it's because we live in a world where things are to be taken, many things that are around us not to be taken for granted, but many things that are around us are just to be left alone, avoided, and don't pay no mind to. So sometimes we do not give the energy of paying mind to certain key elements that are around us, and I will explain that. So just in case you're listening to the poetry and saying, I didn't know tonight was open mic, just ride with your brother, man. It's me. I have something to expose properly, Yeah, I already said at the beginning, how we started at the beginning concerning the science when we were dealing with the science of music. So we're dealing with snobbish, deleted aspirations, dismissing creation hard evidences, and marching them 360 to the Ethiopians. It's Ivine and committee conscience, trying to avoid embarrassment. Okay, it's a deep science. Now, deep space eye that's looking. The deep water eye that's looking. So deep space eye that's looking. The deep water eye that's looking. What? Deep space eye that's looking. The deep water eye that's looking. So within the whirlpool, in the water, even in the depths, within the black hole, the formation of the black hole, when you observe the galaxy, the movement of the galaxy, the poet goes on to say, and the Hubble, listen, the Hubble bring back pictures. It's the same thing. What do you mean it's the same thing? Who is Hubble? What? Hubble, the telescope Hubble that has gone up into space. And the Hubble bring back pictures. Okay, it's the same thing as what? Deep space eye that's looking. And the deep water eye that's looking. Okay. And the Hubble bring back pictures. It's the same thing from the atom of a carbon to hurricane. And it is true. When you observe all of these things, the atom, just the atom alone is very important, very key. When it comes to, as they would say, quintessential. When it comes to the formation of a black hole, because it is the atom that collapses upon itself. It is the atom that collapses upon itself, that breaks down the core of the star and brings it to what is called the neutron star stage after the explosion of a regular star. which is a supernova. So that core of the star, the now supernova, collapses upon itself and creates that neutron star, and the velocity increases tremendously as it spins around and gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and creating that space of nothingness around it, that space of uniform gravity around it. And eventually, of course, you know, the nebula becomes the quasar, and the uniform, you know, the uniform area of nothingness becomes the black hole, and all the ancient, yes, what you call it, debris from the exploded star and other space debris and objects suck into the hole and spit back out in a plasma form, and creation begins. And it could be millions or billions of years or how many eons, but therein lies a galaxy within solar system, stars and planets, because of the explosion of a star millions or billions of years prior to that. It's a science. So that same galaxy resembles the same atom that it began from, you know, that whole spiral cycle and the whole revolution cycle. That's why you see the belt of Saturn cycle. It is the gravitation pull and the rocks that are going around it that give this wonderful look at the different rings of Saturn, well spaced out perfection. Saturn and other planets with their rings as well. And of course, the same way the moons go around their planet and the planets go around the sun, and the sun has its central object that is moving around. The whole solar system is moving, and the galaxy in the spiral form. What the poet is saying, you can see the spiral form of the galaxy looks exactly like the hurricane on the water. Deep sea eye that's looking. Deep space eye that's looking. Deep sea eye that's looking. And the Hubble bring back pictures. It's the same thing, from the atom of a carbon to hurricane. Just watch the hurricane. And the spiral in the knowledge of deserving look like cells, replication, how diversive, and the knowledge that remain still elusive. So even within myself, listening to the poet, you know, because I wasn't given a script, I had to go clean and properly to comprehend his saying, you know. Because now, and the spiral in the knowledge we're dealing with, it's still the spiral in the knowledge, the brain cells then. When you look at the brain cells, looks like cell replications. The brain cells and the when you compare it to how certain aspects of the universe looks, when you look into the Orion Nebula specifically, it resembles the brain cells. So that's a whole formation of a galaxy there as well. You know, that's within Orion's belt. This is what all of this, the Hubble pick up, you know, the Hubble telescope. So the spiral of knowledge, it looks like cell replication in the brain, and the knowledge that remains still elusive. Haile Selassie, original king. That's what the poet says. So the poet goes on to say, the tetrahedron. I hope you're keeping your notes. I ain't playing around with you. I'm sure everybody here likes to dance. I'm sure you love more music than me. So this ain't no play time. This ain't no fun and games. That's what I'm saying. Since everything is fun and games, you know, sometimes we have to highlight to our brethren and sisters what is much more than fun and games. Remember, we did a whole program on Michael Jackson, you know. If you haven't seen it, you should go to our YouTube page and watch the episode we did on Brother Michael Jackson. And you'll see a lot of what you've been boogieing down to for the years. was not to really boogie down to, it was to sit down maybe with your pen and your pad as well and take some notes. Yeah. Michael Jackson, chum on. Yeah, Michael Jackson, Moonwalker. The tetrahedron. The tetrahedron, from my understanding, because you know, when these poets spit sometimes, you gotta really listen good to get exactly what they said. But the tetrahedron that he dripped up the scene with, that's the high priest of the molecule work with. The tetrahedron draped up the scene with. The tetrahedron represents life, the original sound. We were just talking about that a few programs ago. You can go on the YouTube and listen to the whole of that program. This line is in the whole of that program there. The whole of that's it here, right? What the poet is saying. In that whole program, the tetrahedron and the flow of life and the sound of the geometry, the sacred geometry of nature. Yeah, the tetrahedron. There's a movie called Thrive. You could check that out as well. Some brothers, what do you call it? It is, I think it's Gamble. One of them, Proctor or Gamble, one of these descendants of the world famous, did a documentary entitled Thrive. It's right there on the internet. You check it out, Thrive. You don't know, it's a free world. Check it out. And you'll get a kind of science on the tetrahedron and how it's connected to free energy and life itself. So, yeah, the tetrahedron that he draped up the scene with, I guess the heavens, you know, that the high priests of the molecule work with. Okay, listen to this. Rushing to the singularity to rupture the time with. The monumental megalith down my alley, they openly covet. Economic hitman. The tetrahedron that he draped up the scene with, that the high priest of the molecule work with. Rushing to the singularity to rapture the time with. The monumental megalith, they openly covet. Any one human mind is more complex than anything you built. Any one human mind is more complex than anything you build. Any one human mind is more complex than anything you build. Listen to this now. Listen to this. Still among the insects. That's the biggest line in the poetry, the poem. That's the biggest line. Hold on, man. The poet coming soon. You'll hear the poet say it. I'm just introducing the poet. You've never heard this poem? Maybe you've heard this poem and you don't even know you're listening to this poem here. Still amongst the insects. Oh, come on. You need to get some David Attenborough and sit back and watch what the insects are doing out there, man. Watch the bees. The Christ himself told us to go to the ants, find the ants. Find the ants, finance. Finance. The ants can teach you how to make money. They work together. When they find a piece of bread or whatever they're eating, the ants don't say, look, I'm going to put this in my pocket here. Because nobody was with me when I... No, they bring it back to the central. They call for reinforcements if they can't carry it. Nobody hiding no piece and coming back for it later and say, well, this is, and how much is my percent? Everything coming back to the central point and they all benefit. Find the ants. Finance. The etymological code, you know how it is. Code cracker in the house. Batman, present please. So I'm just trying. Yeah, get sometimes. I just trying to show you, man. This that just knocked me off there. This science is serious. So when you check the insects, the honeybees, obviously, you could see they're industrial. the honeybee is the sign of industry, how they work together and how they produce liquid gold, you know, by their discipline and their work order. Still amongst the insects, the poet says. When he says still amongst the insects, he had to take a whole breath and stop the whole science of his flow to let you know, still amongst the insects. And not even just the insects, them animals in general. But yet, it's the poet here is not just talking about the insect. Oh, yes, the shock of the hour. You must be shocked. You must be shocked. Hold on. Your brother is coming to you. Now, as the abstract thought has chemical representation, tangible MRI. So it's real when you work out into crystallize. And they set in the critical ruling place of pride. Wow. Remember before, hold on. Remember earlier, the poet was speaking about, inventing everything and cannot harness their emotion. You can't forget that, I hope you're keeping your notes. Inventing everything and can't harness their emotion. As the abstract thought has chemical representation and tangible MRI. So it's real when you work out into crystallize. And they set in the critical ruling place of pride. There's a special place where pride belongs, some people say you have too much pride or you're too proud. Obviously you should be proud. I'm proud of my son and proud of my daughter and proud of my friend and proud of myself. And you should have pride in yourself. They tell you don't be proud, but yet still you should have pride. So there's a level of pride. It's decency and morality. That's what he's saying. There's a sitting place, in the critical ruling place, and they're sitting in the critical ruling place of pride. Listen to this. And ethics and moral was long ago put aside. And ethics and moral was long ago put aside to reserve space for discovery and pattern and copyrights. So there's a rich history of the animals, use in disguise, of the prey and the predator alike. Must seem to them to be alike, studying everything that needs not sunlight, everything that needs not sunlight. I want you to get this good. That ethics and moral was long ago put aside to reserve space for discovery and patterns and copyrights. So there's a rich history of animals' use in disguise, of the prey and the predator allied, must seem to them to be alike, studying everything that needs not sunlight, everything that needs not sunlight. You judge the pride. You judge the pride. That's a poem. And that's the title of the poem. And the title of the poem is You Judge the Pride. Well, the title is actually Judge the Pride. You understand? And if you are following, again, it is you to judge the pride now, the animals. Every city, state, county, every intellectual institution is only a set of interactions. It's only a body of relations, human relations. So each one is a subset, you see, of human family. This being enough example, you see, of scientific envy, inventing everything and can't harness their emotion, building bigger on and bigger on a falsified foundation. Their self-view world was the root of their intentions. Building bigger on and bigger on. Snobbish deleted aspirations. Dismissed creation hard evidences. A marching them 360 to the Ethiopians. It's Ivine and committee conscience. Trying to avoid embarrassment. Deep space eye, that's looking. The deep water eye, that's looking. And the Hubble bring back pictures, it's the same thing. From the atom of a carbon hurricane and the spiral in the knowledge of deserving look like cell replication. How diversive. And the knowledge that remains still elusive. Haile Selassie, the original king. The tetrahedron that he draped up the scene with. That the high priest of the molecule work with. Rushing to the singularity to rapture the time with. The monumental megalith they openly covet. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Any one human mind is more complex than anything you built. Still amongst the insects. Still amongst the insects. As the abstract thought, as the chemical representation of tangible MRI, as the abstract thought has chemical representation of tangible MRI. So it's real when you work out into crystallize, and they sit in the critical ruling place of pride, and ethics and morals was long put aside to reserve space for discovery and patterns and copyrights. So there's a rich history of animals' use in disguise of the prey and the predator alike. Must seem to be alike. Study everything that needs not sunlight. Everything that needs not sunlight. You judge the pride. And the author of that poem, the poet himself, is Vaughn Benjamin, the singer of, at that time, Midnite, of whom the full composition is Midnite, himself and his brother, Ronnie Benjamin, specifically. Judge the pride. Follow your notes.
Yeah.
If you haven't. Listen good.
Every city, state, county, every intellectual institution is only a set of interactions. It's only a body of relations, human relations. So each one is a subset, you see, of human family. There's been enough examples, you see, of scientific envy. Invented everything and can't harness their emotion. Building bigger and a falsified foundation. Their self-view, worldview was the root of their intentions. Snobbish, elitist aspirations. Dismiss creations and evidences. I'm watching them 360 to the Ethiopians. It's a divine and comedic conscience. Trying to avoid embarrassment. No. Deep space eye that's looking. The deep water eye that's looking. And the Hubble bring back pictures, it's the same thing. From the atom of a carbon to hurricane. And the spiral in the knowledge of the surface. Look like cell replications of the verses. And the knowledge that remains still elusive.
Listen.
And the Selassie I originally wicked. The tetrahedron that we tripped up the scene with. That's the high piece of the molecule we work with. Rush into the singularity to rupture the time with. The fundamental regulative mind they openly commit. Anyone human mind is more complex than anything you can take.
Punchline.
Still among the insects. Still among the insects.
Cellular.
As the abstract thought has chemical representation and tangible MRI. So it's real when you word code it to crystallize. Then they're sitting in the critical ruling place of pride. And ethics and moral was long ago put aside to reserve space for discovery of patents and copyright. So there's a rich history of animals using disguise of the prey and of the predators alike. Must seem to them to be alike. Studying everything that needs not sunlight. Everything that needs not sunlight is you judge the bride.
Now, what I'm saying is that that's just one song. Because, you know, I have to give you a story. I mean, yeah. Because, I mean, in the early days when I just started to work on the radio station, you know, in Antigua ZDK, Zadok. This is in the 90s, the late 90s. So, the group Midnite, man, with the Unpolished and these are the early albums. I'm not ashamed to say, when I was running Midnite on the radio, there wasn't another person on the island playing no kind of Midnite, at least on that level for sure. And a lot of people were not really, you know, and I mean, but I was very much into, at that time I never met the brethren them. I was very much into the whole knowledge base and that esoteric vibration from Brother Vaughn Benjamin, you know. And I'm telling you straight, you know, because let me just tell you, man, the brothers work very hard, so they continually bring out music. This straight, especially in them early days. Straight music, albums, 4 albums almost one time, bam, bam, bam. You say, wait, more again, bam, double album, and they just come in, and Brother Vaughn did collaborations with other people, and so there's always music coming out. So there's certain songs, man, that are well packed. There's an album called Full Cup. The album where this song came out of Anthology, that to me, that's the tops of anything that you could call for Midnite or Akae Beka. This is just my opinion. But I'm just saying that the sort of knowledge base, as well as how the connection was being made, that was something that I was very, much considering. And that is how it is with the internet sometimes. So anyway, And for those of you who had any problem whatsoever with the listening of this program, we will definitely replay this right away as soon as it's completed. But I was just saying that after really, partaking of that, the sort of information, when I really met the brother, just a cool brother. To be very honest, a lot of people say the same thing about I, as if I don't know what they expect to see when they meet me, but say, boy, but to be honest, that's how I saw it. The brother just cool, calm, cool, It's cool. Well, I didn't expect him not to be cool, but the kind of things like what we just went through there, I'm just saying that's just a song. I'm saying that's a song. I consider myself that I have studied Midnite. Maybe not now more like before, but I have studied. From Scheme of Things to Geoman, you can call all of them. I have studied word for word, syllable for syllable, and Judge the Pride is tough. But we can go more. Project Tree. Man, we can break them down, and the brother does some things with the knowledge and put it in a kind of way that what I'm saying is, the point I'm making is that most of us, we're not cultured to listen to music like that. That's my point. That's why I had to do that. We don't really expect that level to come out of the music, the reggae music. We expect to hear some punchlines, some sing-along, and, the whole same old sad story. No disrespect to no artist, but whatever, things bad, and help me, I'm not mocking nobody, Everyone has the level to fulfill, but I'm just showing you, we're not cultured. No regular person is cultured, really, to be looking for this. Because outside of this, it's hard, very hard, if not almost impossible, to find anything else like that. Like what you just heard a book. You heard a whole lecture there, obviously. And yeah, you get some deep stuff out there, from the different levels of music, whether it's hip hop and whether it's in the reggae, and you get some real things. Not to me, not to this level, but you get some real vibes. But it's not consistent. It's not something you expect all the time from whoever that artist may be, every time. I'm telling you, the brother break it down every single time. If not every time, the very vast majority of the time, in some very high levels. That coming from music, again, we're not cultured to listen to it that way. So maybe you now may take more time when you listen to the Akae Beka, when you listen to the Midnites, go back to the old ones and listen again, and get your encyclopedia, not just your dictionary. Get your Google, what you call this stuff there. Get your Wikipedia ready. And what you don't understand, press pause. Yeah, if it's learn you want to learn. But a lot of us, again, we just into the boogie woogie and into the rhythm, and it sound good. And that is why I highlighted the Michael Jackson program there. When we spoke about the whole aspect of, what he went through and what he put in his song, which was not really something that many individuals picked up, because again, we're not cultured, or we're not trained to literally pick that up. So give thanks for that. And if you understand again, this is how we ourselves, if we're dealing with, that's poetry. That is poetry. Even earlier when we were going through the different genres of music, poetry again. I was speaking, I said something about Cool G Rap as an artist. That's a top poet. But if these individuals would have just used their talent, as it's called, what has been given to them, for something a little better,
I think it would be a whole different story. You see, this is it. Remember, in the music industry now, that's another game all by itself. The music industry is filled with a lot of sellout, buyout, homosexuality. The music business is a serious business. So when you see a lot of people on the top of that riding high, please don't envy them, as the old people would say. Don't envy nobody for what they have, because you don't know how they got it. You understand? So this is why other individuals who may not want to sell out, you don't see them rise to the top, even though their talent is way beyond the talent of those who are riding high. So obviously, if you have a message of right, you can't be selling out, you know. So I'm just saying that this is the type of music we'd love to see. This is the sort of poetry, because this is poetry. The poets are not just those, again, that do the spoken word. The hip hop artists are poets. They have some real flunky poets today. You know, so this is why they use music to lead the young ones astray. That's why I mentioned also when I was speaking about the homosexual vibration, is that hip hop, can you imagine that? They're using hip hop and even the dance hall music, you know, to promote a lot of gayism. So this is why now you see the hip hop artists, a lot of them, man, I mean, moving a little way and sometimes kissing one another and doing all sorts of different things in the reggae, not the reggae specifically, but more the dance hall. You have, and there the reggae too, to some degree, a lot of the tight pants and the pants dropping down off at the bottom. You know, big old men that never move like that, taking on to this culture. All of that is in the music. I mean, it's serious. It is a serious thing. It's all attached. Music is not just fun and games, you know, man. This is what I'm telling you. Music is not just fun and games. It has to do with grooming people. You know, again, it's a culture. It has to do with bringing people to a level that you want them to be. So that is why you say, let us use the music to confuse them. Nobody in the world can tell me gun violence and us killing one another has nothing to do with the music and has nothing to do with the movies. That is the media itself, not just the media now, the media gone by. You can talk about stopping it now, but trust me, the media gone by has already set the culture. Some of the superstars that we love, from the Ice Cube to the Ice-T, who left from being hip-hop artists to become movie stars. I always have to bring back to recollection when Ice-T and Ice Cube and Big Daddy Kane sang the song Burn, Hollywood Burn, and the song itself, Big Daddy Kane, Public Enemy, and Ice Cube, Burn, Hollywood Burn. And we even come and see the same Ice Cube himself being a very integral part of Hollywood, you know. I mean, if he's getting his game on, he's getting his game on, that's him. But I mean, check out some of the parts that he has to end up acting after burning down Hollywood so hot. I'm telling you, you understand what I'm saying. So the point is now that the Hollywood does that, you know, the entertainment aspect, the hip hop and the dance hall and the killing and the when they had the Bounty Killer and the Beanie Man war vibration, a lot of us as youths took on to that. I'm not asking you. I'm not saying maybe. I know exactly what I'm saying. I could remember clearly as a young youth when the Bounty Killer and the Beanie Man stuff was going on, and Ninja Man and Million Teeth and Gun Pan Teeth and all of that thing. It was a spike. It encouraged us as youth to want to become shatters then, even though at that time that wasn't the term that they were using. But yeah, we all wanted to be bad man because Bounty Killer said bad man, and then Merciless and bad man, and this and that and bad man. Yeah, that was the case. And then those of us who were milking from, you know, a culture somewhere abroad, you know, NWA
and bad man and Cool G rap and bad man and blow off your head and bad man and yeah, you understand. Trust me. So that is what music does, and it's doing it up to now. So they utilize the music to literally groove and mold a whole generation, and we can't do nothing. And they invent all the devices possible for you to use, so you can plug in the molding into your ears, so nobody can even disturb you now, because you block away. And the singer that they've paid millions of dollars to lead the little girls astray, to teach them how to wink and whine, to teach them how to do all that they shouldn't do. They have them plug in the ear like professors. These are their real teachers, not the person in the flunkies, right? The front of the class at the blackboard. No way. The teachers are the singers. The teachers are the entertainers. The teachers are the people on the sitcoms. The teachers are the people they go home and watch. Ed and Eddie, these are the teachers. Phineas and Ferb, them is the principals and the professors of the schools of the mind of our young children. You understand? So the sort of lyrics that Brother Vaughn Benjamin is putting in his works, even up to this time now, he's the Akae Beka, the level of a next dimension. It seemed like he gone. You could still observe within the word sound that he puts out. And you know, in some time in the future, we will do this again, where we take one of his songs. I know you didn't expect that. And as I said, some of you were listening on the radio, I know, and it seemed like there was a cross feed. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Not my fault. Didn't know, even know it was taking place. But what I'm going to do right now, I'm sure you have the time. You can listen to this program again. Right now, I'm going to make you hear the program again. So wherever it is that you may have lost me there and the connection went bad, I'm going to replay it for you again, because it's a wonderful program. You don't want to miss it, especially if you love poetry, especially if you're a person that is yearning for wholesome information. You know, I know a lot of people like a lot of the drama and the different agendas for the time. We were not in the mood to even touch upon that. Keep it where it is. The science of music, what you plug into your ear, what you listen to. So if you like good music, brothers and sisters, I would advise you give the Midnite some listen, man. Give it a listen, you know, and I don't have to recommend nothing. Everything seems to just have a message within it that touches home and touches down, you know. I mean, a scientific message. Hear what the brother speaking of there. The tetrahedron, deep space, the deep space eye that's looking, and the deep water eye that's looking, and the Hubble bring back pictures, and it's the same thing from the atom to the carbon and the hurricane, and the spiral in the knowledge of discerning, and it looks like cell replications now diversing, and the knowledge that remains is still elusive. You know, Haile Selassie, the original king, the tetrahedron that he draped up the scene with, that the high priest of the molecule worked with, rushing to singularity to rapture the time with, the monumental megalith they openly covet, you know, and the depths of it, you know, each one is a subset, you see, you know, of human family. Give thanks, my brothers and sisters. I will seal you up with this once more. Take it in. You don't know how the science goes. Remember, if you know your Bible and you do not know your history, the knowledge of your Bible will become a mystery. And I'm going to run it again for those who didn't get the program properly.
Every city, state, county, every intellectual institution is only a set of interactions. It's only a body of relations. Human relations. constellations.
Each one is a subset.
So each one is a subset, you see,
Human family.
of human family.
Tell you.
There's been enough examples, you see,
Scientific
of
envy.
scientific envy.
Inventing everything.
Invented everything and can't harness their emotions.
Building bigger and bigger.
Building bigger and a falsified foundation. Their self-view, worldview was the root of their intentions. Snobbish, elitist aspirations.
Dismissing.
Dismiss creations and evidences. I'm watching them 360 to the Ethiopians. It's a divine and comedic conscience. Trying to avoid embarrassment. No.
Impossible.
Deep space eye that's looking. The deep water eye that's looking.
And the Hubble.
And the Hubble bring back pictures, it's the same thing. From the atom of a carbon to hurricane.
Yeah.
And the spiral in the knowledge of the surface. Look like cell replications of the verses.
Sure.
And the knowledge that remains still. Still. And the Selassie I originally came with. The tetrahedron that they tripped up the scene with. That's the high pace of the molecule work with. Rush into the singularity to rupture the time with. The monumental regulative mind they openly covet. Anyone human mind is more complex than anything you will take.
Ants and spider.
Still among the insects. Still among the insects.
Spider's not a insect.
As the abstract thought has chemical representation and tangible MRI. So it's real when your word coded to crystallize. Then they're sitting in the critical ruling place of pride. And ethics and moral was long ago put aside to reserve space for discovery of patents and copyright. So there's a rich history of animals using disguise of the prey and of the predators alike. Must seem to them to be alive, studying everything that needs not sunlight. Everything that needs not sunlight is you judge the bride.
Yes, definitely all you gotta do is judge the pride specifically. And it takes some realize, to realize the real lies that are even amongst us in this time. I don't want you to go nowhere. If you missed that program there just a moment ago properly, we're gonna come right now to you and replay it for you in its full entirety. Give thanks continually for your presence with us. The mystic vibration is here with you continually. Of course, just 10 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock, remember this is Radio Anno. RadioAnno.com, the international flavor, the universal spice. Make sure you keep it with us and definitely go nowhere. So who is this?
This is King Akhenaten, aka Amenhotep IV. He was an ancient Egyptian pharaoh of the 18th dynasty who ruled for 17 years and disappeared perhaps in 1336 BC or 1334 BC.
The next month, which is June the 21st, you see the sun right, the equinox, the sun rose right in the center of the constellation known as Pisces. Let me show you what I'm speaking of. Let us just say in the year 1590, the year after, okay, the 21st day of March, we see the sun basically at the same spot. Let's check the year 1520, still there. 1521, still there. 1522, still there. 1523, still there. 1524, still there. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, still there. So in other words, in about 15 years, when we return on the 21st day of March, as we do every year, we notice that the sun is still in the same spot. Now the sun is not in the same spot. It appears as if it's in the same spot, but the sun is moving 1 degree every 72 years. So that means the sun, in its movement of its governing power, as far as the age goes, is moving 1 degree every 72 years. I want you to keep this in mind. Remember, the sun is moving from one constellation to the other constellation, 1 per month. This is what we observe. So let's watch this. Let me show you, for example, 21st day of February, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th. You see the sun moving? 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. 1st of April, 2nd of April, 3rd of April, 4th of April, 5th of April, 6th of April, 7th of April. You see, that's how the sun moves. So every day, you see the sun traversing through the heavens, moving through the constellations, just like this. You notice Mercury and the moon passing the sun as the days go by, because this is showing you a record. So I'm going backwards as such now. You know, the 9th, the 6th, the 3rd, back to the 21st day of March. Now that's on the daily level. But as it relates to the age now, let me show you. So as I said, listen good, we are basically, obviously, in the year 1518, now we are